security officer stopped me right at the entrance to my sister's wedding reception. He showed me 2 pictures. My son's and daughter's portraits were marked with heavy black lettering. Entry denied. The sound of guests enjoying themselves floated past him. Crystal glasses chimed and cameras flashed, capturing the bright setting perfectly. My father avoided my gaze. My stepmother's smile suggested this was merely a scheduling issue, not a deliberate insult. My 6-year-old asked if we had misbehaved. I stayed silent. I gave the man the envelope with the card and left immediately. They believed they had successfully removed me from their flawless celebration. What they didn't understand was that before nightfall, their party would turn into something they'd regret, and I wouldn't need to speak to achieve it. I earn money by teaching yoga. I hold morning sessions at the local center, afternoon private classes, and virtual lessons once the children are asleep. It's a peaceful profession, allowing me to process my thoughts. I used to mistake that clarity for true peace. Now I understand it was just a quiet state I hadn't examined. My name is Leona. I am 34 years old and married to Andrew. We share a modest townhouse where hooks never hold towels and the shoe bin never contains the matching pair you need. We have 2 kids, Leo, who is 6 and always carries his dinosaur torch, and Chloe, 3, who calls red strawberries moonberries. Our residence is messy, but it belongs to us. It has a cozy, disorganized feel that smells like brewed coffee, markers, and fresh laundry. Then there is my original family, the one I never felt connected to. My father, Robert, married his new wife when I turned 12. He often said, "Family comes first." But that phrase actually meant, "Stop causing trouble." My stepmother, Veronica, manages our entire extended family like an expensive fashion line. Their dinners involved crisp white linens, specific lighting, and a voice from her that seemed gentle until you paid attention to the meaning. My younger half-sister Jordan is 26, a social media influencer who brands herself as a style consultant. Her entire existence is filtered, coordinated, and utterly bland. As a child, my stepmother often labeled me the strong one. I thought this was a compliment. It was actually her license to exploit me. I moved furniture, solved problems, and cleaned up disasters created by others. When the stepmother needed quiet, she sent me to calm my crying infant sister. If my sister demanded attention, she received it instantly. When my parent desired tranquility, I achieved it by sacrificing my own. Therefore, when my stepmother contacted me last May announcing, "We must discuss the upcoming wedding," I instantly knew her meaning. I was cleaning mats at the studio. The room was still warm after the session. She began with her familiar sweet speech about how smoothly all the plans were proceeding. Then her voice became deliberate and heavy, like a burden placed upon me. She explained that my sister's chosen location required a significant down payment. "They need it by this Friday," she noted. I paused before replying. I understood that silence often bought precious moments. She quickly added, "Leona, you always take charge." This exact phrase had been directed at me since I was 15. Immediately, my ingrained instinct surfaced. The need to assist, to stabilize, to ensure things went smoothly. That evening's dinner was predictably a show. My stepmother's dining table shone under dim lighting. My sister arrived 30 minutes delayed, radiating like an advertisement. Her fiancé, Gavin, followed her, groomed, wealthy, the sort who addresses service staff as pal. Naturally, my stepmother presented a large binder. She presented it formally, revealing polished pages detailing locations, floral designs, and meal options, all with prices neatly listed. The total required was $32,000. She mentioned the figure casually, like commenting on traffic. "This is just the first payment. Honey," she told me. "You can handle this, can't you?" Andrew looked directly at me from across the table. He never spoke the word no, but his expression did. My parent lifted his drink, stating, "We help our own." My sister smiled and commented, "It's all in the name of love, Leona." That word love always seemed to demand a financial transaction from me. Driving back, Andrew was reserved. He finally stated, "You don't need to continually fix their problems." "I know," I whispered back. Yet I complied. The following morning, I moved the deposit, emptying half of our savings. I convinced myself this was only temporary, that I would get the funds returned, and that cooperating was the path to peace. I failed to grasp then that tranquility in that family was only achieved when I purchased it. The weeks after that dinner fell into a predictable, slow routine. I received constant messages from my stepmother and phone calls from my sister, all masked by my own feeling of responsibility as guilt. Every communication followed the same pattern. We just need this one more item. You are the only person we can rely on. This deal expires tonight. Initially, I refused. Then I compromised with maybe. Eventually, I conceded. Fine. Each transfer chipped away at more than just the money in our bank account. It diminished a fundamental belief in fairness that I hadn't realized I still held. Andrew watched me transfer funds like someone witnessing a slow-motion disaster they couldn't intervene in. You're letting them redefine what being a family means, he noted late one evening. They're my family, I countered. If I don't help them, who will? He looked at me without responding. Maybe that is the point, he finally suggested. The requests escalated. The flower vendor demanded an early booking fee. The DJ had a time-sensitive promotional rate. The videographer needed their reservation confirmed before another couple secured them. Each time I hesitated, my stepmother deployed her catchphrase. You always take charge. Those 4 words felt like a harness tightening around my freedom. At the yoga studio, I advised my clients to breathe, to release tension, to remain centered. But I was the one losing stability. The exact moment I grasped how far I had gone was when my stepmother texted. No children at the ceremony. The bride wants an elevated vision. I stared at the phone screen for a whole minute. My device vibrated again. Another text. We will work out something for you. This phrase was code meaning you will surrender again. During dinner that night, Leo asked if he was permitted to wear his dinosaur necktie to the wedding. He sounded proud, believing he was attending a significant event. Of course, I told him, forcing a cheerful expression. Andrew observed me silently. He said nothing. Days went by. More bills arrived. More forceful reminders. I began tracking the costs in a list on my phone. Venue deposit $12,800. Catering $8,750. Florist $2,200. String duet $1,600. DJ $1,500. Content team $2,500, totaling $30,100. It was tidy, complete, theft disguised as appreciation. Then came the night of the rehearsal dinner. My stepmother messaged that morning. Only adults keep the fuss down. Andrew offered to stay home with our children, but I assured him I would be fine. I wasn't. The atmosphere shifted the moment I walked in. Everyone was overly cheerful. My sister shimmered in a white dress. My parent played the role of the delighted father. My stepmother was in complete hostess mode, embracing distant acquaintances. I stood in a corner, gripping a glass of water like it was a protective shield. My sister approached me during a toast, briefly touching my arm. Leo, just so you know, the place might not suit young children. There's a lot of breakable glass and, well, it's quite upscale. Upscale? I repeated. She blinked. Yes, it's not exactly designed for kids. A cold realization settled inside me. So, you are saying my son and daughter don't belong here? Oh, don't be so dramatic, she replied, smiling for the benefit of nearby guests. It's just about the vibe. That word, vibe, summarized her entire life. I departed early. No shouting, no tears, just a long, solitary drive home with the radio off. Andrew was waiting for me at the kitchen table when I entered. What happened? I shook my head. They believe our kids would spoil the vibe. He let out a slow breath. Then perhaps it's time we spoiled theirs. I couldn't sleep that night. I stared up, remembering how compliance used to equal peace, how family had become a non-negotiable expense. The next morning, I withheld the final payment. My stepmother called within a few hours. Darling, we must finalize the content team contract today. I will consider it, I said. You know how stressful wedding preparations are. Then you should have planned this more efficiently. I replied and ended the call. It was the very first time I had ever hung up on her. The resulting silence felt like clean air. I didn't know then, but that small action, refusing $1 more, was the first flaw in their perfect facade. And those flaws tend to multiply. That silence did not last long. By the next morning, my voice mailbox was full. One message was from my stepmother, complete with feigned sobs and a shaky voice. Another was from my father, lecturing me about fulfilling my duty. The third was from my sister, half crying, half indignant that I would complicate things unnecessarily. I ignored all of them. That night, Andrew and I sat together at the kitchen table. The children were asleep upstairs. The soft light from the refrigerator fell onto our stack of unpaid bills, my yoga class rosters, and the envelope-marked wedding costs. I cannot continue financing people who won't even permit our children to enter the room, I declared. Andrew leaned back in his chair. Stop trying to justify yourself. Just record everything. Make the evidence solid. So I did exactly that. Line by line, I documented every payment and every receipt. I wasn't acting spitefully. I was collecting proof. For years, my stepmother maintained control through gaslighting. She would reconstruct every situation until you questioned your own memory. However, figures are objective. A few days passed, and then my phone displayed a text from my sister. Final payment. Due tomorrow. Thanks, sis. I gazed at the text, hovering my finger over the typing area. Then I replied, I have already contributed more than anyone else. That is my final contribution. The typing indicator flashed, vanished, then reappeared. Then came her message. Don't make this messy, Leona. We're family. That word family again, always used as a tool against me. I put the phone down. Andrew offered a small smile. That sounds like a healthy boundary. In my family, boundaries were never respected. Quietly, 2 days later, my stepmother showed up at my studio. She looked flawless. A cream suit jacket, severely pinned hair, and a smile sharp as broken glass. My clients had just departed. The room still carried the faint scent of sweat and lavender spray. Leona, she began gently, as if addressing a fragile person. Everyone is stressed. Jordan is falling apart. Your father's heart can't handle this anxiety. Why are you doing this to us? To you, I asked. I paid for half of your daughter's wedding. Her lips tightened. You are overreacting. It is only money. It is never just money, I corrected. It is respect. For a brief moment, her composure cracked. Then she leaned closer, her voice sickly sweet again. You will regret turning your back on family. I held her steady gaze. No, I regret waiting this long to do so. She left without another word. The door closed, and I stood there trembling, not from fear, but from the relief of finally asserting myself. That evening, I drafted a detailed email to my stepmother, my father, my sister, and her fiancé, Gavin. The subject line read, Wedding contribution breakdown and balance. I listed every cost, every date, and every transaction. At the bottom I wrote, As of today, total paid $30,100. You have prohibited my children from attending the event I financed. I demand full repayment. The first installment is due next month. This action is not about revenge. It is about achieving closure. I reviewed it twice before hitting send. Andrew placed his hand on my shoulder. Are you all right? I nodded, truly meaning it for the first time. Yes. The following morning, my father texted. We need to speak privately, sweetheart. My sister posted a photo story showing the wedding countdown, smiling under string lights. They still expected me to keep silent. They hadn't grasped that choosing silence can sometimes be the most powerful statement of all. The wedding day arrived, seeming like a beautiful sunny storm. The morning light streamed through the kitchen, falling across the breakfast bowls and our lightly packed bags. Leo proudly wore his small, wrinkled dinosaur tie. Chloe spun in her blue dress, her pigtails uneven because she had insisted on doing them herself. Watching them, I hoped they would remember the scenic drive, not the confrontation waiting at the destination. Andrew adjusted his shirt collar. You don't have to attend, he said softly. I do, I replied, but not for them. The wedding location was a restored barn 30 minutes away. It was now a luxury site with white walls, lights, and manicured grass. We drove quietly. The sky was perfect cinematic light. I thought how cruel it was that beauty hid such ugliness. We reached the gravel path, and the security guard approached. His suit was too formal, his smile too forced. Afternoon, he greeted. Us. Name. Leona. I paused. And my children Leo and Chloe. He checked his board, then showed a plastic sleeve. Inside were 2 color photos. Leo's school portrait. Chloe's pigtails across each face. Entry denied. The world seemed to sway. Where did you get these? My voice was quiet. He looked toward the entrance. Bride's request. No minors inside. Liability rule. There's no such rule, I stated. That's my son and daughter, he shifted. Ma'am, I just follow rules. My stepmother stepped out looking composed. Leona, she said calm. It's not personal. It's for the aesthetic. Glassware, candles, you understand. My father stood behind her, a shadow looking away. Inside the barn, I saw Jordan in white, trembling, peeking as if protecting her illusion. Leo pulled my hand. Mom, did we do something bad? I could not answer. Any word would have cracked my voice. Andrew's hand touched mine. I felt his pulse, steady and angry. I handed my stepmother the envelope we brought. Congratulations, I said, my tone even. Then I turned. The gravel crunched. Behind us, nervous laughter resumed. In the car, Leo asked if we were still going to the party. Chloe hummed about frogs. I drove. Breathing was easier the farther we drove. 10 minutes later, my phone rang. Unknown number. Instinct made me swipe. Leona, this is Richard Gavin's father. I pulled over, looking at Andrew. Yes, I just saw the list, Richard said. The one with your children's photos. My throat tightened. I didn't send it. I know, and I'm calling to say the wedding is canceled. Silence, he added colder. My family won't be part of this circus. They are coming to your house to beg. Don't open the door. He hung up. 2 hours later, the desperate knocking began. Leona, it was Jordan high-pitched breaking. Please, let's talk. Behind her, my stepmother used her controlled voice. Be reasonable, Leona. This can be fixed. My father's voice came less small. Sweetheart, open up. Andrew and I met eyes. I did not move. The knocks grew louder, then stopped. The phone started buzzing. Calls, texts. I flipped mine down. We made grilled cheese. Leo dipped his in ketchup. Chloe called hers cheese circles. The world felt small and safe. At 6:14, my stepmother left a voicemail. It began as an apology, ended as a threat. You embarrassed us, she hissed. You owe us a conversation, you owe us. At 7:03, Richard called again. I can let all vendors my side paid for, he said. I won't bankroll cruelty. You will get partial refunds within 48 hours. Send me your totals. I opened my laptop. The cursor blinked. I typed the numbers like heartbeats returning. Venue $12,800. Catering $8,750. Florist $2,200. Strings $1,600. DJ $1,500. Content team $2,500. Total $30,100. Then the truth. You denied entry to the event I financed by posting my children's faces under entry denied. I expect full repayment over 12 months. First payment due next month. This isn't revenge. This is closure. I sent it to all of them, suing Richard. Responses flooded in. My stepmother, how dare you threaten your family? My father, we can talk privately, sweetheart. Jordan, 12 months. LOL. We're not a bank. Gavin, give me time to figure things out. Andrew read them. Clear, he said. Good. The next evening, my father came over. He knocked briefly. When I opened the door, he looked diminished. This got out of hand, he said. You could have handled it quietly. They printed my kid's face as Dad, I said. That wasn't an error. That was a message. He rubbed his temple, sighing. You could have stayed for your sister. You mean for the performance? I asked. Peace without respect is silence. He blinked, confused by my calm. I don't recognize you, he murmured. I know, I said. I recognize myself. He left without noise. That felt like progress. The next day, my stepmother posted online about protecting Joy from jealous people. I ignored the screenshot. At noon, Richard's refund summary arrived. He had clawed back $7,000 and wired it. The note applied to your totals. Gavin will cover the rest. If not, I will. I won't be associated with people who blacklist toddlers. I laughed for the first time in weeks. Days became weeks. Jordan's tone shifted from rage to bargaining. Let's talk like adults, she texted. Minutes later, wow, ignoring me. Power trip much? Then a photo of her red eyes. This is what you did? I didn't respond. I kept teaching. I told students to breathe into discomfort. I was finally learning to do it. One afternoon, Jordan appeared at the studio door. Sunglasses, shaking hands. She took them off, eyes swollen. You made a scene, she said. You made a list, I replied. It wasn't personal. It was a picture of my son, I said. You allowed it to exist. She exhaled, voice catching. Mom says you've always hated me. I've always paid for you, I said. There's a difference. She looked down. So what now? I folded my arms. We say hello at birthdays. No money exchanges. No guilt used as love. Jordan nodded slowly, taking the lesson. Gavin and I got married at the courthouse yesterday, she said. You weren't invited. Good, I said. She was shocked that it didn't hurt me. They'll keep paying, she said. Good, I repeated, because this good was freedom. By autumn, payments arrived on schedule. Quiet digital accountability each month. A transfer notification. Memos almost made me smile for peace, for closure, for lesson learned. By the 9th month, the final deposit cleared. Richard sent a last email. Applied remaining vendor credit. Your balance is 0. You did right by your family. That matters. I stared until the words blurred. I updated my file. Jordan wedding balance $0. I kept the record. That night, my father invited us for a barbecue. I almost said no, but Andrew nodded. The backyard smelled like charcoal and rain. My father flipped burgers. He looked quieter. He asked Leo about school. Chloe about her favorite color. Finally, he turned to me. You're different, he said. I'm better, I replied. He nodded as if accepting this. Driving home, the sky turned soft orange. Andrew squeezed my hand. You did it, he said. I didn't fix them, I said. I fixed me. At home, Leo chased Chloe. Towels fell. Shoes scattered. Ordinary chaos, the kind that is ours, peace. This time it didn't feel like silence. It felt earned. Some people still say I overreacted, that it was just a wedding. But they never saw their children's faces under entry denied. I didn't shout. I just stopped standing where I was told. That was enough. Being the good daughter meant staying quiet, whatever the cost. Now it means protecting my kids, my peace, and our home. If you've drawn that line, if you walked away instead of bowing down, share your story.